So Teresa, I'll start with you. I'll have you say and spell your name just so I make sure that I pronounce it correctly and spell it correctly.
Sounds great. It's Teresa Borrenpohl. It's Teresaborrenpohl.
Perfect. And do you have a doctorate? Are you a doctor? Is
I
that
do.
correct? Okay,
It's
perfect. And Wendy, same thing for you.
Sure, Wendy Olson, Wendyolson.
Perfect. Son. Great. So I guess to start, Teresa, how are you feeling? I know we're a couple of months removed from this whole incident. I know you had some injuries, but obviously there's some things that heal a little bit slower than others.
Yeah, it's been a really hard, few months now, a couple of months since the town hall. At the town hall, I was treated terribly by what we now know to be the security guards. And of course, for days after that, there was a lot of physical pain. But the emotional pain certainly still lingers. If folks could feel that comfortable to violate my person with 450 people watching, that's what really lingers. We're still in the same community. Am I safe? Am I safe in this community is the question I ask myself since that town hall.
Yeah, I know I spoke with friends of yours who say that it's hard to be in the political minority there in North Idaho, and this just kind of highlighted that ongoing fear and discomfort. Really brought it to kind of a uh, an unimaginable head.
I do think though that while we do have a lot of polarization right now in society, that we all do come together under the same founding documents. My constitutional rights are your constitutional rights, and a violation of anyone's is a violation of everyone's. So I am, resolute in ensuring that we fight for our rights, that we ensure that's there for everyone.
Yeah, so the notice of tort claim filed yesterday. This is just kind of the first step in the legal process. So Wendy, obviously feel free to jump in, but um, who's named in this action, and give me a little background on the tort claim itself.
Sure. Well, a notice of tort claim is something that's required under Idaho law. Should you want to file a lawsuit on down the line against a state official or someone from a political subdivision. And so it's required to sue the county or someone from the county if you're going to file in state court to file this particular document. And the statute that sets out um, the requirements of a notice of tort claim also says that you have to list the individuals who were involved. It doesn't say you have to identify who you're going to sue, but you list the individuals who are involved. And the purpose of that is so that then the county can evaluate your claims, evaluate the conduct, and determine whether or not it wants to try to resolve the claim prior to there being any lawsuit filed.
So who's named in this claim?
Sure, it's Sheriff Robert Norris, Brent Regan, Ed Bejarana, Paul John Truett, Lear Asset Management Incorporated, Christopher I. Berg, Russell Marcel Dunn, Jesse Isaac Jones, Alexander Paul Truett, and other unnamed employees of Lear Asset Management.
Okay, so the security company, the sheriff, and sounds like the chair of the Republican Central Committee and the MC of that town hall.
The individuals I just identified are the ones who we have listed as being the persons involved as required by the state statute.
And as you mentioned, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to sue all of them or any of them, I guess. Just kind of naming parties involved.
Correct. And I think you captured it perfectly when you first asked it. This is the first step. This is a required step under Idaho law. And because what lawyers do is help people vindicate their rights, this is a first step we're taking on Teresa's behalf so that all of her options are preserved going forward as she seeks to vindicate her rights.
Right. Teresa, why was it important to you to take legal action over this? Obviously, we know the city of Coeur d'Alene has taken some steps revoking the business license for Lear, criminal charges now pending for um, 5 of these security guards and a private citizen. Why was it important to you to pursue a possible lawsuit?
Now, litigation is a deterrent for bad behavior. And what we saw at the town hall were people with power believing that they have absolute power, and they don't. That day, my rights were stripped from me in a really violent way, and I didn't have the ability to reclaim my rights in that moment, but I do now.
Yeah. And I know that you said you've had an outpouring of support and people saying that they have had similar circumstances or um, felt like their rights were taken away in their own uh, cities or towns. Um, what's kind of the big picture of accountability with this possible lawsuit there? I mean, what kind of message are you sending to the rest of the country?
This wasn't my first public meeting that I've attended. I've been to hundreds of meetings in my community over the past couple of years because I truly believe that the most important decisions that are going to impact our lives happen at the local level. So when I go to these events, I know my rights. I know what I'm there to do, and that's to engage with those who are those decision makers locally. And so it's everything from being able to contribute your voice at that local level to ensuring that the Constitution is followed, and we see all of that captured in this town hall. So I think it's really important that people continue to show up and make sure that their voice is heard, and they should know that they have rights.
Yeah. Um, Wendy, what's kind of the next step? Because obviously we talked about this is the first step with the notice of tort claim. What happens next? And is there any kind of timeline for the legal action?
Sure. So now that the notice of tort claim has been submitted to the county has 90 days to respond. If the county does not respond in those 90 days, then it's considered a denial, and Teresa has the opportunity to determine what legal steps she wants to take next. This is the first step, gets us going, and then there will be a period of time for the county to decide what it wants to do.
Yeah. Why was it important for you to take on this case? I mean, what did you see from a legal or I guess a legal position um, that made you want to take this on?
Well, as I said, the part of the lawyer's job is to help individuals vindicate their rights in our civil justice system. And I've been doing that for 35 years now and have represented a number of individuals, entities. I was a prosecutor who prosecuted civil rights cases for a while. So this is the kind of case and the kind of subject matter vindication of rights that I've devoted my career to.
Yeah. Um, when you saw these videos that have now become viral of this all playing out, um, I mean, what was your thought as thinking about a person's constitutional rights and what has now, I'm, you know, some members of the legislative committee may have differing opinions, but now basically come out, this was a public event. It was an opportunity for people to come hear from and engage with their lawmakers, and then this happened. What did you think of what you saw?
Yeah, well, I will go back to what Teresa said earlier. You have to know your rights. This is an opportunity for people in the public in Coeur d'Alene to engage with their legislators. It was an open event that people, there were no tickets. You could come in and you could attend. And it's those kinds of events that are at the heart of our democracy. It's where people have an opportunity to interact with and engage with the people who've been elected to represent them in whatever legislative body they're representing them in. And that's true of whether you voted for the legislator or did not. That person still represents all of their constituents. And so I think what we see is an opportunity to help people understand what rights they have in that setting and what we can all expect as members of the public when we attend a town hall that is advertised as a place where we can engage with the people who represent us in our government.
Yeah. Teresa, you kind of mentioned you don't want anyone else to feel like they're going to be silenced or not be able to speak out if they disagree. Um, uh, do you fear that that's kind of where we're headed, or that's something that we're experiencing in our country right now?
I think that that is a real fear that a lot of people have. The town hall was horrifying. It was violent. It was not fair. But I can tell you that there were a lot of people around me who elevated my voice. You know, when I said, "Who are you?" people around me said, "Who are you?" When I asked for a badge number, other people said, "What's your badge number?" You know, people had their cameras out. I know of at least one phone call that went to the police department. People did help in that situation, even though it wasn't seen necessarily on camera. And so I do believe that there are helpers out there and there are people that are ready to step up, and people did that day. It was just really violent.
Yeah. Do you feel like by pursuing legal action, you're becoming one of those helpers for other people who may feel like they can't speak out?
I think we all have a responsibility to hold our elected officials accountable. And unfortunately, they cross the line. And this is an opportunity to balance that power.
Yeah. Um, Anything else that anybody can think to add, or anything that you wanted to talk about that we didn't hit on?
I do have one thing.
Yeah.
Earlier, you had said something about, North Idaho is known to be kind of a hotbed of politics. I think that room was a bit of a hotbed of politics, but I can tell you that when I go to the grocery store or when I go to a park or before this situation happened, we are just neighbors, right? We're all invested in each other's success. Idahoans are incredibly entrepreneurial and incredibly industrial and care very much about their neighbors. And I find it heartbreaking that there is a small group of people to for at this town hall and in North Idaho's past that have kind of sullied the reputation of North Idaho. We all live here because it's this perfect pocket of public lands and mountains and rivers, and it's just a really beautiful corner of the world. And I so regret that this small group of people has put this reputation on this space because my neighbors are amazing.
Yeah, definitely. Wendy, is there anything else that you can think to add, or any important details that I didn't hit on?
Well, I think that Teresa's parting comments capture it perfectly. I'm a native Idahoan, and I share her love for the beautiful state that we have and the people who live here.
Yeah, yeah. I'm also an Idahoan originally. I was born near McCall, so I
Oh,
totally understand
lovely.
that. Yeah.
Such a
Um,
beautiful space.
oh yeah, yeah. That pride never quite leaves you. Um, Wendy, I was going to ask, we haven't been able to get our hands on a copy of the tort claim. Are you able to send me one by email, or Mason, are you able to send anything?
Yeah, I can follow up and send you a PDF version of the
Perfect.
notice.
All right, sounds good.